Before I introduce the panel, and you're going to meet all three of the key female stars, it is about these three women and their relationship in many different interesting ways, along with its creator, Lulu Wang. But before I introduce them, I want to show you a little sample of this show. It's an extraordinary clip here, so take a look at Expats.
Who do we think we are? Any of us? To think we're immune to tragedy.
I can't imagine a day where it's not with me. Where I'm not reminded of what
Stop. You don't have to keep punishing yourself, you know. You're not betraying anyone by trying to live a better life.
The first days after Gus went missing, I was wild with pain. Pain you can't even imagine. I wanted to die. But I couldn't. Because I had to stay alive to find Gus.
I know it's hard to imagine feeling anything but pain ever again. But you can. You will survive.
I have to. For Daisy and Philip. And when the dark thoughts hit you,
you decide whether you let them take you under.
Or whether you're gonna get up,
brush your teeth,
open the curtains,
go for a walk.
You look to the children you still have. And you hum. So the silence doesn't overwhelm you.
Could have just used some breastfeeding tips.
Please welcome the creator, showrunner, director, and writer, and executive producer, Lulu Wang. Hi, Lulu. And from the cast, please welcome youngYoo, who plays Mercy. Sarayu Blue, who plays Hillary. And live from Nashville, Nicole Kidman.
Hey.
Yay.
All right. Hi, Nicole. And
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. I wish I could be with you, but I'm filming a show, and so I'm here. I'm here this way.
We love it. Any way we can do it. Let me start with you. You are also the executive producer. This is Blossom Films, your production company with Versari, and this was based on a book, obviously, but you started this whole project. Can you tell me why you were so intrigued by doing this and turning it into a limited series here?
The themes of the show and the way in which there was, it's women, complicated women, but it's very diverse and it's very interesting and it's very interconnected in the way we're all interconnected. And I loved that it was a global show, and that it was very, very relevant. So all the things that you go, okay, this is something worth fighting for.
And it's amazing, too. I've seen this entire series. Interestingly enough, by happenstance, I happened to see episode 5, which is a feature-length episode that sort of separated it apart about a year before I saw the series. And it was interesting to see. I wasn't sure what it was. I hadn't read the book. And then seeing it a year later, I've never seen a show like this that does this, that runs 6 episodes and goes in that direction. But it was a risky bet, but one that I think pays off.
Yeah, and we thank Amazon for betting on us, but and supporting us like so wholeheartedly through the whole process. But Lulu has to be heralded here because it's her baby, and I mean, Lulu speak. She fought tooth and nail for every aspect of this, and for all of us who are in it. And it's very much an ensemble, and it's a beautiful piece of filmmaking.
Yeah, and how did you decide, how did Lulu come into the project? Obviously, she's feature film director. The Farewell's a fantastic movie, but this is her first venture into television. How did you come upon bringing her into this?
I saw The Farewell and was completely enraptured by it. And I saw it and went, there she is. There's our creator. So we have to pursue her. And I did, right, Lulu? And subsequently, she then took the piece and said, "Okay, here's the book. I want to make it mine. There's huge aspects to each storyline that I want to change and grow, and she is the voice of all of us. I mean, she was able to, and with a put together a fantastic writers room, and it's a very, very strong female vision and female voice.
Yeah, very strong female voices, I think, is a key thing to ask you
Yeah.
about, Lulu, here. The writer's room is 5 women, right? Including, interestingly enough, the author of the book as well, who wrote the finale. Yeah. All
Yes.
right. So applause for that, for sure. Lulu, talk about your approach to this, though, because I think you're using the book with the author's permission, obviously, as a starting off point. You were more interested in expanding the vision that you had for it.
Yeah, and putting together the writer's room, I mean, first of all, I have to thank Nicole and Amazon for being so incredibly supportive and just saying, you know, yes, take the book, blank canvas, do whatever you want to do with it. And this is a show about, as Nicole said, perspectives, so many different perspectives. So I didn't necessarily approach the writer's room thinking, okay, it has to be all women. I was really just thinking, well, what are the interesting perspectives that I can't really speak to in this world? And I wanted Janice, who wrote the book, because she lived this experience, right? There's no one better to turn to and go, hey, is this okay? Or if you were to expand these characters that you wrote, how would you do it? So it just felt like an invaluable resource. And then, of course, bringing in Vera Miao or Simran Santu, Alice Bell was one of the first writers on board. It just was like a writer's room is like a dinner party. It's all about the chemistry, and you don't really know how it's going to work out until everyone's together. And we were really lucky that we had great chemistry.
And you have this incredible cast, not just those that are with us today, but right down the line, including some men. Very, very good actors. But let's talk about the casting here and how you came upon bringing in the 2 actors sitting right next to you here.
We knew the show was going to be an ensemble, and with Nicole leading that ensemble as Margaret. And so we were looking for, again, like a group to really balance out the series. And so when we were casting for Mercy, this was really a discovery role. We were like, let's look everywhere, and we were looking for something very specific. Like, she is actually the center of the show in so many ways, because we opened the show with Mercy's perspective, and we learn that she's the perpetrator, but in many ways you learn that she's just a kid, and also a victim. And so we needed somebody who had both the vulnerability as well as this mask, right? Like, I'm an adult, I'm a grown-up, I got my life under control, I'm buying $8 lattes because I can definitely afford it.
She can't.
She definitely can't. And so when we saw Ji Young, she brought all of that. She had like a maturity, and we did a couple different auditions. And by the last audition, I was like, hey, you know, you're wearing all this makeup. Like, I would love to see you without the makeup. She's like, okay. It's like really awkward. But then she went and took off the makeup, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, what a difference in terms of like the grown up that Mercy presents herself to be, which we had seen in the auditions. And then she brought, Ji Young brought this incredible vulnerability that was so beautiful and tender. And we just thought, God, that's it. You know, that's what we need. And then Sarayu. I mean, I've seen Sarayu's work in so much, and she'd done a lot of comedy, and you know, everyone's like, well, this is a drama. And I have a lot of experience. You know, I worked with Awkwafina on The Farewell. I love comedic actors, and I often feel like that's the range that you need. You need that lightness. You need someone who has great timing. And Hillary's a tough role because she's not the woman who the two women who are directly connected with the incident, right, of the main mystery. And so we needed someone who could bring like that, a really dynamic presence to the screen as the person who isn't directly affected, but her life is still turned upside down by this incident. And so yeah, she's just
So great.
rounded out this cast.
Sarayu, can you speak to being a part of this ensemble? And it's a terrific character that you've got to play.
It was really, thrilling and I think monumental in a lot of ways. I think one of the things I was saying to Lulu that happens to me a lot with this show is people watch it and then they really want to like process their experience with me. They're like, okay, and this, and then this, and then can we talk about, and I'm like, so I actually did it. Which is great. I'm happy to keep talking about it. But it's really cool. And one of the things I've loved about Hillary that I've heard repeatedly and that I know I felt is she's unlike any character we really see. In that, yes, she is South Asian, which is an enormous part of the storyline. And that in and of itself is, frankly, pretty monumental. And that she's... she's South Asian, she's dimensional. A lot of times characters like this are sort of this best friend role, and there isn't a story, there isn't her story. And we see there's so many layers to it, and also a big testament to Gursimran Sandhu, who wrote so much of her storyline. We get to see sort of into her family experience and why that connects into her relationship with Margaret, why that later connects into her relationship with Mercy. And so getting to be not just a part of this show was, in and of itself, like my mind was blown that this was happening. Like, oh my God, I was gonna be in a show with, can I swear, Nicole fucking Kidman. And
I didn't know that was my middle name.
Did you know that's your middle name? Yes.
I do now.
I think they call it a Christian name. And Lulu fucking Wang. And Ji Young fucking you, Like, that's our family name. And, and it was really, that in and of itself, to be in this female-driven show, this intergenerational show, this show with Sudha Butcher playing my mother and such a dimensional mother, Kavi Raz, who's the first South Asian, please, you're gonna end up quoting me, I think he was like the first South Asian American character or series regular because of Saint Elsewhere. This show, right. I mean, it's monumental on so many levels. It's groundbreaking on so many levels. So get to have this experience. I still shake when I talk about it because I can't believe it.
So cool. Well, let's talk to Ji Young fucking you.
Thank you. That is my full name.
Getting Pete to swear on stage, sorry.
I am are there children here? I'm so sorry.
You're so good in this show, and she is such a complicated person. And I want you all to watch it. I don't want to give away too much. It's so easy to give away too much on this. The great thing about this show is you don't know where it's going, and you're just watching it. And all these characters are so rich. So talk about it from your perspective, though.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're all cast off our middle names, obviously. I think one of the things that you brought up about the casting process, I was 21 when I first auditioned for the show, and Mercy in the show is 24 and also 25. There's a bit of a time gap. So when I first got the audition, I was convinced I was too young, so I put on a ton of makeup, which kind of looking back on it is very similar to her arc. There's a lot of Mercy trying to fake it until she makes it, and a lot of her reaching for something that's out of reach. because she's looking for a lot of things externally to fill what she feels like is this void in her, and is the representation of the opportunity she didn't have, because she exists in this space where she was an immigrant in America but is an expat in Hong Kong. And I think what's really great about the show and what we were able to expand on from the book is the gaps between the easy borders we like to put on people and on things. So it's easy to assume that an expat would be wealthy and would have all this privilege, and it's true that Mercy does. And there's one of my favorite scenes in the show is when she gets called out for how much privilege she does have. But I think there's also this wonderful element of the in-between and the gaps where Mercy is tending to fall between lines and isn't sure where she can define herself and find herself. And I think having to strip off all my makeup in that original audition process was very representative of having to try and find this role in myself, having never done anything of this scale. It was a lot of me being very vulnerable all the time, and just trusting that, I mean, obviously Nicole and Lulu and David Rubin and Julia Kim are wonderful casting directors. They were seeing something in me that I did not, I think, see in myself at the time.
So great, all of you, and Nicole, congratulations again to you for using your clout, your production company, and everything you have in your entire career to bring these stories, particularly these stories of women. We don't often see women, but not often three of them with such three rich roles, and it's so good to see.
Happy to do it. Grateful to have the ability to be supported doing it and to have, whatever success I've had, to then be able to go, okay, how do we now help others to have the light shone on them so that they can have extraordinary paths and careers, and that's just one of the things that I'm really committed to. So all three of these women sitting there have the most extraordinary futures ahead of them because they're so talented.
Wow. Well, it's Expats, Amazon. Thank you all for coming out and joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us. Bye.